Happy day, friends, and welcome to the October Heart to Heart conversation. I am Macy LaShawn Sledge, and my intention for being here is to empower, to encourage, and to uplift those of you who are awakening to the truth of who you are. Those of you who are coming back home to the essence of who you are. And so I'm grateful to you for being here. I'm grateful for your presence, and I appreciate you showing up to listen and to receive what it is that Spirit might have for you to receive. So if you are new here, welcome. I appreciate you for being here. And if you are unfamiliar with the heart to heart conversation and how it works, I take some time to sit with the question, what did we do in the month of October? What did we do in the month of October that allowed us to transcend and transform our lives? And with that, we're approaching this conversation from a very prophetic point of view, right? And so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at what are the things that we implemented, what are the things that we did, what are the things that we integrated in order to transform our lives as we stepped into this new month, right? So we always start by taking some deep breaths just to center ourselves, to ground ourselves, to be more open and available to receive. So I want to invite you to place one hand on your heart. Close your eyes if you're able to. Start to notice your breath. Take your attention to your breath. Your breath is medicine. Your breath is your anchor. Your breath is your life force. We'll take 3 deep breaths in together, and we'll inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. So take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Remembering with every single breath to take your time, allowing each breath to remind you that you do not have to rush. Deep breath in. And sighing the breath out. Deep breath in. And sigh the breath out. And before you open your eyes, just allow yourself to notice. Allow yourself to notice how you feel after taking those intentional deep breaths. Those slow, gentle, deep breaths. Allow yourself to notice the energy that is moving within you and all around you. And when you are ready, go ahead and open your eyes. So of course, I always want to invite you to make sure that you have a journal, something to write with so that you can take notes. I also want to remind you that you are able to take in whatever it is that resonates and you can leave behind what doesn't. Okay. So what did we do in the month of October that allowed us to, or that assisted us in the process of transcending the limitations and transforming our lives in the way that we needed to transform our lives in? So the first thing that I was shown is that in the month of October, you integrated new routines. You integrated new routines in order to keep yourself grounded and open to expansion and growth. Okay? And the reason why the implementing, and I feel like I've talked about this in a few heart-to-heart conversations this year, and the reason why there's such an emphasis around this idea of implementing routines, the reason why this is so important, especially now as the year is coming to a close, right, as we're rounding out the year, the reason why that continues to come up and why that's such an important conversation is because God is calling you into new territory. God is calling you into new territory. And so the call to implement or to integrate new routines, the call to create more structure in your life, because that's what a routine does for you. It helps you to create some sort of structure, right? So that you have, it helps you to create more structure in your life, right? So that you can live more intentionally. That's the purpose. That's the point. It's not about punishing you. It's not about, it's not about punishing you. It's implementing, integrating new routines in order to create more structure, right? And again, the reason why that's important is because God is calling you into new territory. God is wanting to establish a new foundation through you. And in order for that to happen, you have to be more available. And so when you live your life with more structure, when you create more structure, when you implement these routines, it helps you to eliminate distractions, right? It helps you to become more intentional with how you utilize your time, okay? So the call to integrate new routines is a part of God preparing you. It's a part of the process in you being prepared to step into this new territory. It's a part of the process of you being prepared, of God preparing you so that this new foundation can be established through you. So this is why the conversation to integrate new routines has continued to be a theme throughout this year, is because you are being prepared. You are being prepared to, again, step into new territory. Something that I heard too before I started recording this message is that, or something that I saw in meditation this morning that I'll share too, is that you're being prepared to experience new landscapes, right? And so creating the new routines, integrating the new routines, that's why that's important. That's why that's important. So but you did. What did you do in the month of October that allowed you to transform your life? The first thing that you did was you integrated new routines. You integrated new routines. And the reason why is because these new routines helped you to create structure so you could be more intentional with how you utilized your time, so that you could be more intentional about what you gave yourself away to. Okay? So the second thing that came up that you did in the month of October, and there's quite a bit under this, but the next thing that you did that I'm hearing is that you had tough conversations with people in your life. You had tough conversations, okay? So there's a few things that this is pertaining to. The first thing is that this is connected to forgiveness. And the conversation around this, so you had tough conversations with people in your life. And so for some of you, this has to do with forgiveness, okay? And so what I am hearing around this is that a lot of the narrative that's kind of out there, right, is that whenever it comes to forgiveness, right, the narrative is that you forgive other people for yourself. You're forgiving people for yourself, and that's true, right? And forgiveness isn't about reconciliation. But this conversation here is that you had tough conversations with people in your life in order to reconcile, is what I'm hearing. You had tough conversations with people in your life. You offered forgiveness in order to reconcile. And here's the reason why. Because some of the people that you've cut off in your life, that you've held, that you have chosen not to forgive or not to reconcile with, some of these people, Spirit is showing me that you still hold a special and dear place for them in your heart. And that there's a part of you that has been questioning lately if that was actually the right decision for you to make, cutting them off. And at that particular moment in time, it may have been. But now you're kind of coming back to this space and you're realizing that life is short, and that it's important. It's important to see things differently, right? So again, having tough conversations with people, something else that I was shown around this is that part of the reason why you had these tough conversations, especially around forgiveness, is because had you simply had a conversation with people in the first place, had you been vulnerable, about how you felt, had you been vulnerable in how you felt regarding how they may have hurt you, then you most likely wouldn't have cut them off. So because that conversation didn't take place, there was this unforgiveness, there was this bitterness, there was this frustration and this anger. And there's also confusion on their part because they're like, well, I don't know what happened. I don't know what I did. And so this provides you with the opportunity to be more vulnerable with yourself and with other people. And then it also provides you with the opportunity to be a vessel through which lessons for the other person, for the other people might flow through, right? Through the conversation, what will happen is the other person will become enlightened because of your willingness to be vulnerable and to share and to say, hey, this hurt me and this is how I felt. And I just want you to know that I forgive you. And I just want you to know that I still have love for you. And through that conversation, that other person on the other side will experience enlightenment. And so it's not just about you forgiving, it's about you being a vessel. It's about you being a vessel, right? And that's what we tend to forget. We get so angry, we become so self-righteous, right? We become so bitter and frustrated. We cut ourselves off from being vulnerable. I'm not gonna, like we hide. They're not gonna understand. But all of that is speculation. They're not gonna listen. They're not gonna hear me. They're not going to apologize. They're not going to hold themselves accountable. But all of that is speculation. And we remove ourselves from situations a lot of the times based on or because of the speculation that we're making. So in the month of October, you had tough conversations with people that you still love and again, hold in your heart and care about. And yes, it's for you. It's yes, so that you can be reconciled back to the most authentic version of yourself, but it's also so that you can be a vessel for enlightenment, for wisdom, for lessons to flow through. The other part of this, having tough conversations with people in your life, it's connected to you moving on and making significant life changes, right? And so around that, there's this conversation that what I can feel and what I can see is that there's this part of you that's ready to begin carving out your own path. That's really ready to begin walking down the path that you feel yourself being called to walk down. And so because of some of the connections that you have, and they're very significant connections, because of some of those significant connections and how tied to other people you are right now, you may not be moving on tomorrow. You may not be making these significant life changes tomorrow, but there is this call for you to begin including people in the conversation, being open with people and including people in the conversation. Hey, this is where I'm headed. I may not be headed there tomorrow, but this is my plan. This is my thought. This is how I feel. This is kind of the timeline that I feel that these changes will begin to unfold and take place in, right? So you're having conversations with people about how you are ready to move on and make significant life changes. And so this gives other people an opportunity to prepare as well. And it helps you to avoid being impulsive in your decision making, right? Which then might have an effect on the people around you. The other part of that is that this is, and I kind of already touched on that, but this is connected to following the path that is in alignment with your heart and soul, right? So going back to that, moving on, making significant life changes. Again, I did mention that it has having these tough conversations because you are in this space, you are ready to follow that path that's in alignment with your heart and soul. And so a part of that means breaking away from the path that you're currently on. And again, this might require that you have tough conversations because there are people in this space with you on this current path. Right? The other part of this, having tough conversations, is in my notes, it says that this is also connected to letting go of the tendency to stay in spaces longer than necessary simply because you don't want to disappoint other people. Okay? Letting go of the tendency to stay in spaces longer than necessary simply because you don't want to disappoint other people. Or simply because you're afraid that whenever you move on, that the resources that you need won't be available to you, or that there won't be people in this new space to support you, right? And we want to be careful not to make the mistake of thinking that this means that because I'm moving on, because I'm being prepared to follow the path that is more in alignment with the will of my heart and soul, and because I'm moving on, you want to be careful not to make the mistake that this means that you're leaving people behind. It just means that you're putting yourself first. You're putting yourself first because you know and you understand that you're being called to step into new territory, because you know and understand that a new foundation is being established through you. And so sometimes in order for that to happen, we have to separate ourselves from what is familiar. Right? And the last note under this about having tough conversations with people in your life, the last note under that is that this is also about carving out your own path and allowing people the space to do the same, right? Because sometimes we get stuck in these codependent situations. Sometimes we get stuck in these codependent relationships and connections that we get so stuck in them. We get so, and not even stuck, but we just become so comfortable that we can no longer see our path as clearly as we may have once saw it. And then the people around us can't really see theirs as well. And so having the tough conversations provides you with the opportunity to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is the path that I'm seeing myself walk down. And then it also gives them the opportunity to start thinking about what their path might look like and how it might look different from yours. And so, yeah, kind of making that kind of going in separate ways while still supporting one another and still loving and showing up for one another, that might look different now. But it's carving out your own path and allowing people the space to do the same, right? So in the month of October, you had tough conversations with people in your life. You initiated them. Some might be initiated by them. Some might be forced, right? You might be forced into having some of those tough conversations. But remember to just, when it comes up, when those conversations begin to present themselves, remember to be vulnerable. Remember to be open. Remember to be gentle and kind and compassionate and considerate of yourself and of others. And then in the month of October, you made 3 decisions. There are 3 decisions that came through that I was shown that you made. And the first decision you made was to say no more. And the reason why you decided to say no more often is because you wanted to devote more time to yourself, to your craft, and to your calling. Okay. And then there was a note that came through that even if you don't have clarity around your calling right now, being intentional about spending more time with yourself during this month and moving forward is how you begin to receive the clarity around what your calling may be, about what this path may be that you're being asked to walk, right? So you started to say no more. You started to say, you made the decision to say no more during the month of October so that you could be more present and available to yourself, to your craft, to your calling, to your purpose, right? To your heart's intentions, to the will of your heart and soul. Okay. The second decision you made was to celebrate more and to celebrate in advance. To celebrate more, to celebrate in advance. And also, you made the decision to implement a gratitude practice, right? And so here, Spirit is speaking to the fact that you've been focusing on too much on what hasn't been done, on what you haven't achieved. You've been focusing too much on what needs to be done or on what's missing from your life. Okay. So this decision to celebrate and to celebrate in advance, and to stay rooted in gratitude will open you up to seeing that, will open you up to seeing more clearly that abundance is present in your life. Abundance is present and that it is flowing in, that it's already here, and that you don't have to work harder, you don't have to push harder in order to receive that. What you need to do is celebrate what's here right now. What you need to do is allow your heart to show you the vision so that you can see it, hold space for it, and celebrate it in advance. Celebrate the unfolding of it in advance so that you can be rest in gratitude right here, right now, for what's present right here, right now, and for what's to come. Okay? And then the third decision that you made, the last and final thing that we have here for the October Heart to Heart, the last decision that you made was to give yourself the chance and opportunity to see how good life can truly be. Okay. And then I wrote a few notes here. And the first thing that I said is that you said enough with telling yourself that you can't have it all. And what that means is that enough with telling yourself that you can't have peace, contentment, and joy, because you can. And all of those flow from deep within you. Peace, contentment, and joy, there's a well within you. And whenever you take the time to tune in, to be present with yourself, to breathe deeply, you can feel that peace, contentment, and joy are present, right? So you made the decision to give yourself the chance and the opportunity to see how good life can truly be. And you said enough with telling yourself that you can't have it all, meaning the love, the support, and the care from your community. Right? So in the month of October, you've cut yourself off from that narrative that says that you lack the support that you need. You cut yourself off. You let go of that narrative, that story in your mind that you've been telling yourself that says that the community that you need is not there. That the love that you need is not there, right? You said enough with allowing your thoughts to be death-oriented and began to truly invite more life-giving thoughts into your mental space, right? So you're no longer allowing those death-oriented thoughts to control you. Meaning you're no longer allowing yourself to look at life and only see life through the lens of defeat. But now you're speaking life. Now you're speaking life. Now you're remembering that life and death is in the power of the tongue. Now in the month of October, you begin to really realize just how powerful your thoughts are. And you begin to realize what you can do with your thoughts, what you can create, what you can call in, what you can pull in simply by correcting your thoughts, simply by allowing your thoughts to be life-giving rather than death-oriented. Okay. In the month of October, you also said enough with rushing or trying to force solutions, because you want to live more intentionally and in a way that truly resonates with your heart and soul. You cut yourself off from moving impulsively, from making decisions impulsively, from taking steps impulsively. You cut yourself off in the month of October from the act or from the need to rush or force or push, because you started to really trust in your heart's intentions. You really started to lean into and move from a more intentional space. You really began to feel, to see, to witness in the month of October the synchronicities, the signs of the universe. And you began to trust your inner voice and its guidance, so that you could follow those signs and synchronicities to where they're leading you to. You also said in the month of October, you said enough with subscribing to survival mode and living in a way that doesn't honor your sovereignty. You said enough with subscribing to survival mode and living in a way that doesn't honor your sovereignty. So those are the 3 decisions that you made in the month of October. That is the October heart to heart. Okay. You integrated new routines so that you could keep yourself grounded and open to expansion and growth. You had tough conversations with people in your life. You stayed open. You stayed vulnerable. And you allowed yourself to be a vessel. You allowed yourself to be a vessel for enlightenment to flow through, for wisdom to flow through, for yourself, yes, but then also for other people. And then you decided to say no more, because you want to devote yourself more, because you want to devote more time to yourself, to your craft, and to your calling. You made the decision to celebrate more, to celebrate in advance, and to integrate and implement a gratitude practice. And then you made the decision to give yourself the chance and opportunity to see how good life can truly be. So let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let me know how this may have resonated with you. Let me know, is there anything else? Is there anything else that you feel that Spirit is showing you did in the month of October to transcend your limitations and to transform your life? I want to know in the comments. Let's have a conversation. Again, thank you all so much for being here for this conversation. I love you all so much. I appreciate you for subscribing to the channel. I do want to invite you to join me on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Time for a collective Reiki meditation that I offer. It is a donation-based offering. It's a beautiful time where we show up, we sit with a question that says, what is my heart's intention for the week? We share what our heart's intention is after journaling for a little bit. Then we move into some breath work to help ground us and open us up to prepare to receive what it is that wants to be received by us through the Reiki meditation. And then afterwards, we journal, we reflect on our experience, we come back and we share. If anybody needs clarity around what may come up for them, then I offer some intuitive guidance. And so that's the collective Reiki meditation. The other group offering that I have going on during the month of October is a nervous system reset, unlocking your inner harmony. Unlocking your inner harmony. And in this process, it's all about releasing any stored tension in the body, creating a more calm or coming back home to that calm, centered space within ourselves, so that we can really open up to living more peaceful, centered, grounded lives. So that's the collective Reiki meditation and the nervous system reset, unlocking your inner harmony. So if you want to live a more harmonious life, then I would love to have you join for that. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here. I will see you next time. Bye.